I see this question come up a bunch of times, specifically, how do I get a recognizable style? Like when people look at master artwork and say, that's a Picasso, just by looking at it. Do I need that to be an artist? And I feel like this question usually only comes from people who are really just starting out, which makes sense, right? Because they're not yet in the position of falling into a rut. And that's kind of what a signature style is. It's very much a rut, which could be positive or negative depending on your perspective. But if you think of it as a rut, then you're more likely to recognize when you've gotten there. And like the signature style, the recognizable thing that encompasses your existence as an artist, is more of a retrospective term. We talk about Picasso and Monet and all the others as this particular thing that they do because we're trying to describe decades of work into one little package. And we can't really tell the future. We can't see into the future to see what we're making that's going to be the thing we fall most in love with, which is going to be the thing that everyone falls in love with, and plan that out in advance. You know what I mean? So short answer, no, if you're starting out as an artist, you don't need to prepare a signature style before you put your art out there. Long answer, I already made some videos about how to develop a personal style, including we touched a little bit on that in that little podcast video I just put out last week. But your signature style is just your personal aesthetic, an amalgamation of all of the things that inspires you and techniques that you've picked up from others. And more importantly, it's the story that you're telling. It's your unique personal perspective that you're putting into your artwork. Hopefully. Maybe. I know that when I started, I was just reproducing photos that I'd taken that I liked, I guess, and no one really cared about those. But my point is that your style happens inevitably, like it happens on its own. And who exactly needs you to have a specific style? It's going to be repeat clients, people who hire you if they see that you like to do a very specific thing. Like for me, a lot of it is watercolor, plants and animals. That's like really, really vague. And hopefully I'll touch on that in a second. Galleries, just people who really need to know what to expect from you and what they're going to get if they give you money for it. Which means that a signature style is very much money driven. And, you know, that comes with pros and cons depending on how strict you are with it, right? If you have a very specific, reliable style, you know, you'll hit a sweet spot where people want to buy your stuff, which means that you're going to want to do that thing over and over and over again, which might lead to a temporary, reliable income that you can feel comfortable. You could just paint ocean scenes and sell ocean scenes forever, you know? People will depend on you for ocean scenes, and you'll never offend anybody or lose followers because you're always just producing the same thing over and over and over again. But the con with that is that, like I said, it is very much like falling into a rut. If it's not something that you feel super passionately about, like if you don't really like ocean scenes, or if you get tired of doing ocean scenes, not only are you going to get bored with it, but maybe even the people who love the ocean scenes are going to get bored of it when the next cool thing comes out. Do people still go crazy over llama merchandise, for example? I don't know. I also notice that you'll struggle with trying new things because every single thing that you want to do, you have to figure out a way to make it work with what you're already doing. Like, my thing is very much watercolors. I really wanted to have paper toll a part of that all the time, but even in this particular thing that I'm doing here, I didn't use paper toll at all, and it actually makes me feel uncomfortable. Like, I actually feel like I failed a little bit in this project, and so sometimes I miss out on things, or I struggle with new media because I'm trying to use it in a way that I would use watercolor, not in the way that I would use that media. Everything that I do, I have to try to conform within my own personal limitations and my own personal aesthetic, and some things just don't fit, and it's frustrating. Which I think is why artists like to work in series. Like if I really want to do gouache work, for example, I might have a gouache series that is specifically something that I like to do with gouache, like landscapes. And since aesthetic style is very much a marketing tool to earn money, from that point of view, a series is kind of awesome because it is so much easier to write a statement in a story for your artwork when you're really specific. Like I said earlier, if I'm saying that my art style is watercolor plants and animals, like that is just so vague and uninteresting, and it's the only way that I can think to make an umbrella term for all of my art. But if you ask me about this series of 6 paintings in this video, I'll say these are about how everything we do comes with this like underlying ethical discomfort. How I can walk into a beautiful, peaceful landscape and have my experience easily disrupted with sneaky thoughts about how we're destroying that landscape. I did these because I was reading a book about the wealth gap and capitalism and how wealthy industries do the most harm when they think they're doing good for the world and stuff like that. Like that's my personal why for making art, is usually just my working through what life is and what my personal experience and perspective is in any given situation. And that's just the most important thing when you're making art. It's not about being marketable, finding your niche, and becoming a big industry. You don't need to be a famous artist to make a living, you know? And I don't think you even really need to be stuck in a rut. You can change your artwork in logical ways. Like don't just see something that's popular and just do that thing. Making watercolor paintings on canvases under resin isn't really that big of a leap from watercolor paintings on paper under frames, you know? You can do these little weird things here and there and not have anyone really think twice about them, because your personal aesthetic, your reason for doing the things that you're doing, the story that you're trying to tell, whether you are aware of it or not, that stuff is like the connective tissue between all of your art pieces. You know, your artwork will always be somewhat cohesive if you continue to just be yourself, because people don't change that dramatically that quickly. We do experimentation in sketchbooks and stuff. You know, not every art piece that you make has to be for sale. And it's so easy to get into that headspace. I'm the same way. Like I don't want to waste my time in this sketchbook piece if I can't, you know, make money with it, you know? Like I totally understand that, and it's really easy to kind of fall into that whole, I want to do this thing, but is it financially wise? And it goes back to the fact that this question is often asked by people who aren't powerhouses in the industry yet, and really kind of examine what it is that you love about making art and doing the things that you do and making the choices that you make. You know, what medium are you constantly coming back to because you enjoy it? What subject matter? But anyway, in conclusion, do what you do. Stay true to yourself. Don't get really good at anything that you really don't want to do for the rest of your life, and make sure that you know why you're doing the things that you're doing. And let me know what you think down below, and subscribe to my channel. I make a new art video every Thursday.